Come on, Joseph.
Good job, team.
Hi, Dan.
Good morning. My name is Jerry Clark. I'm the past president of the Veterans Council of Northampton. What I'd like to do right now is to have Charlie Coleman, the junior vice commander of the DAV Chapter 92, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join with me and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlie. Right now I'd have the Brian Joyce from the Veterans Council of Northampton to lead us in the national anthem. Brian?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that that star-spangled banner yet wave. O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You may be seated. This time I'd like to have Dick Bart from the Elks Lodge number 997 give us the invocation. Dick?
Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless our American heroes that rest in places around the world, and bless those veterans that are still with us, our friends, neighbors, and colleagues. They are America's veterans and are still the pride of our nation. They have fought our wars, defended our shores, and kept us free. No nation in the history of the world has buried its soldiers further from its native soil than we Americans. May God keep us ever grateful for their service. Amen.
Thank you, Dick. At this point, I'd like to introduce Brad LeVay. He is the president of the Veterans Council of Northampton. Brad?
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Veterans Council of Northampton, I welcome all of you who have taken a few hours off today to be with us on this Veterans Day. Most of all, I welcome all of you, my fellow veterans, and I thank you for giving us this opportunity to recognize you and pay tribute to your service, to our nation, and to our community. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Brad. Now I'd like to introduce our mayor, Mayor David Narkowitz.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you today, as always, in celebration of Veterans Day. I wanted to first recognize some of my fellow elected officials that are here today. Our state representative, Peter Kokot, is with us today. City Council President and Councilor at Large, Bill Dwight, is here today. Ward 6 City Councilor Marianne Labarge is with us. Ward 1 City Councilor Maureen Carney is with us. And Ward 3 City Councilor Ryan O'Donnell is here today. Today I'm honored to issue a proclamation entitled Veterans Day, November 11th, 2014. Whereas from 1776 to the present, the citizens of Northampton have served and continue to proudly serve in our nation's armed forces. And whereas it is the duty of all civilians to respect and honor those who have defended our freedoms and protected our way of life, making selfless sacrifices on our behalf. And whereas these brave men and women who have served and protected the United States come from all walks of life, and we know them as family members, friends, neighbors, and co-workers, playing an important role in our community. And whereas Northampton has a long record of lending support to all veterans of all eras, and is well aware of the debt we owe those who have served to protect and defend our liberties, our country, and our community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor David J. Narkowitz, do hereby proclaim Veterans Day, November 11th, 2014, a day for the citizens of Northampton, Florence, and Leeds to pay tribute and remember the service and sacrifice of our community's veterans and military personnel. In witness whereof I have set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Northampton, Mayor David J. Narkowitz. Thank you and happy Veterans Day.
We will now have a selection from the Northampton High School Band. Thank you very much. What I'd like to do now is introduce our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is John Paradis from he's the Deputy Superintendent for the Soldiers Home in Holyoke. John has more than 25 years of experience working in federal and state government. A retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force, John supported several operations and deployed several times during his active duty career, including tours in Bosnia, Iraq, and the Director of Public Affairs for the Combined Forces Command, Afghanistan and Kabul, where he was responsible for the press briefings and escorting media to areas of operation. His last duty assignment, John was the Deputy Director of Public Affairs at Air Combat Command, the Air Force's largest major command. John's home of record is Waltham, and he and his wife, Denise, live in Florence. They have two children, a daughter, Megan, who is in her sophomore year at Clark University in Worcester, and Connor, a senior at Northampton High School. It gives me a great pleasure and an honor to introduce to you John Paradis.
Thank you. Proud to call Northampton my adopted hometown, and I'm honored to share this day with all of you, especially with my fellow veterans. Thank you, Mayor Narkowitz, Air Force veteran. Thank you, Brad LeVay, U.S. Marine Corps, Korean War veteran, Purple Heart recipient. All the members of the Veterans Council that are here who do so much for veterans 365 days a year. For veterans here in Northampton, Tommy Pease, Fran Whalen, this man right here, Charlie Coleman. There are heroes each and every day to veterans. They do so much. Let's give them a round of applause for all they do. I know Steve Connor's across the river at Amherst right now with their ceremony. He's got a large turf there with his district, with all the towns here in Hampshire County. But big thank you, good friend. He's someone that everyone, and I do mean everyone in Western Mass, and really throughout the Commonwealth, lean on for support, mentorship, and guidance. There's not a day when I'm not on the phone with Steve about one thing or the other, and he's tutored me and helped me throughout my time here in the Valley. What a great day this is. Main Street, Northampton, Main Street, USA. A beautiful day, beautiful city. But honestly, I don't care if it's cloudy, rainy, snowy, sleet. Every day is a good day. Days like today are days I dreamed about when I was in the service, coming back to New England and participating in a hometown Veterans Day event like this, and to see folks come out who care. I start every day, as I know my fellow veterans do, in grateful appreciation that every day is a bonus. And I start every day thinking specifically about those men and women who I served with who were killed in action. Every day when I wake up, I think about two dates, November 20th and November 27th. November 20th, a day when Specialist David Rostam, there's Steve right here. Steve, glad you got over the river. To have you here, my friend. David Rostam, a specialist who served on security details, protected me and other officers in the Green Zone and throughout Baghdad, killed in action. And I think about him every day. And I think about the call for blood to save his life. And I think about the Black Hawk helicopter that took him to Balad Air Base. And I think about the line of servicemen who saluted him as he boarded the transport plane back to the United States. And I think about November 27th, when a close, good friend of mine, Major Troy Gilbert, was killed in his F-16 strafing insurgents 20 miles outside Baghdad. And I think about his family and his kids every day. And I start every day in simple gratitude that I live in a free country. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to make something out of this day and to keep the promise to earn what we have. At the Soldiers Home, every day is Veterans Day. Every day is Veterans Day. So, who is a veteran? It is someone who, usually at a very young age, took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, that oath, for most of us, is taken in obscurity, never seen or heard by the general public. However, this commitment to our nation is both physically and mentally life-altering. For most, life will never, ever be the same again. So what does a veteran mean? It means sacrifice, sometimes great sacrifice, by yourself and your family. It may mean months, even years away from home and loved ones. It may mean, and too often does mean, the ultimate sacrifice. Then why, I ask you, do citizens become soldiers, sailors, Coast Guardsmen, airmen, or Marines? Is it pride? Is it love of country? Is it knowing he or she will play a role in defending freedom and keeping our nation safe? Is it sharing in a family history of military service? Is it being part of something bigger than his or herself? Is it the opportunity to receive an education, to gain some discipline, to push yourself to the ultimate limits physically and mentally? Maybe you volunteered or you were drafted. Whatever the motivation, whatever the reason, today we recognize every veteran who put their hopes, their dreams, and their future plans on hold and face separation from family and friends, as well as the harsh reality that they could die in service to our nation. So, as I look out here, I see a lot of service caps and soft caps and service pins and medals. And if you're a veteran out here today at this moment, let's all give you thanks for realizing that in order for all citizens to live in our great country and to share in freedoms we all hold dear, that it was you who took the oath to serve. Thank you. And I see a lot of moms and sons, daughters, brothers, sisters. And we all know as veterans that this is our day. We recognize our veterans, but I have a soft spot for the family members too. The ones who endured separation, who were there in the home front. They prayed for us, they cared for us. And when we came back, they dealt with all the issues that come with being with a veteran in the house. So if you're a family member out there and you're a veteran, take the time today and do it right now by saying thank you. And it doesn't hurt to say I love you too. So on my left, right here in the front row, Mr. Barucki, right? December 7th, 1941. Who among us could even begin to imagine the world today had courageous defenders of freedom like Mr. Barucki not stood fast against imperialism in the Pacific or against Nazi fascism in Europe? And as we enjoy this day, men and women wearing the uniform of our country are in harm's way. Some have been called to duty to face an enemy that believes that the path to paradise is through violence and whose vision and ambition is to use brutal tactics. We've seen it on the news: beheadings, floggings, crucifixions, live burials of children and women. That's how they're going to establish their path. And we, Americans in a free world, are their stated enemy, and terror and chaos is their goal. This enemy will not go away. He will stay forever on the offensive unless we stop him. And so on this Veterans Day, let's think of those men and women who are in harm's way protecting our freedoms today. So what does it mean to be a veteran? It means facing incredible odds and never giving up. It means facing perhaps the remainder of your years with a body riddled with injuries and constant aches and pains. Many of our veterans at the Soldiers' Home, those who are in their most senior years of their lives, and now decades after their wartime service, are still recovering from devastating injuries. And like many of the veterans returning from war today, from Iraq and Afghanistan, some of them have had to learn the basics all over again, how to stand up, how to walk. But yet to a person, each of them believes that they were only doing their job. They say the true heroes are the ones that didn't return. Because us veterans that are here today, we're the survivors. And whether they lost a limb or suffered a traumatic brain injury or faced demons every day with PTSD, you know what? When they reflect on their service, they tell me to a person that they would do it all over again. That what we have in our nation is so special, and the bond they have with their fellow sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Marines is so special they would do it all over again. 3 Sundays ago, I had the great privilege and honor to be a guardian on something called Honor Flight. In 2011, Tommy Pease and the Veterans Council here fundraised money to bring heroes from Northampton down to Washington on something called the Tribute Tour. And 3 Sundays ago, I was on an honor flight with World War II veterans in Washington. We had 50 World War II veterans. 12 were from the Soldiers' Home, including Sam Lococo, a Navy veteran from Northampton, former postmaster, served in the Pacific. Another 16 were from Western Mass. One of the veterans survived the Battle of the Bulge. And think about that, the Battle of the Bulge. Here I am on a chartered flight, Southwest Airlines to Washington, and sitting right next to me is a veteran who, on Christmas Day, was in Bastogne. And he had never been to Washington before. On that same honor flight, one of the veterans came ashore at Omaha Beach on D-Day in 1944 in the first wave. I'm hearing him talk to another World War II veteran, and he says what he saw was far worse than the first 30 minutes in Saving Private Ryan. He sees blood every day. He survived through the Battle of the Bulge. He was later one of the liberators who went into Buchenwald concentration camp. He still suffers from nightmares. And yet he, like all the veterans we care for each and every day at the Soldiers' Home, have never asked for any recognition. In fact, I think if it weren't for the tribute tour and the honor flight, many of their sons and daughters would never have heard about their service. One son, a guardian, said he knew his father was a chaplain's assistant, but he didn't know until he overheard his father tell another World War II veteran that he helped with last rites on the battlefield for hundreds of soldiers in the Pacific. Because when they came home, they put their duffel bags, their sea bags in the closet, and they went to work in all the mills and the factories, and they raised all of us, and they built the cities and towns, and we owe them so much. Their dignity and humility personified. And they tell us they were only doing their jobs. But we all know that they did much more than just a job. They gave us our freedom. Only about 10% of our World War II veterans are still with us. Every day is special with them. As Tony Page, a World War II veteran from the home who was on honor flight in May, he says, people come up to me all the time and say, God bless you. And Tony says, he already has. Isn't that the way to live? He already has. On this day, November 11th, 2014, we are blessed. We cannot take what we have for granted, not for one moment. So while I am proud of what we do for veterans at the Soldiers' Home, and I'm proud of what my VA colleagues do just down the road in Leeds each and every day, we have an obligation, all of us here, elected officials, government, veteran service officers, to do more. We have veterans returning from America's longest war who have wounds that need to be addressed. Some are visible, others invisible. And conditions such as traumatic brain injury and PTSD left untreated can lead to more serious consequences. You know that veterans kill themselves at a rate of 80? Every 80 minutes, there's a death across the United States for a veteran that's taken his own life. 22 veterans every day. More than 6,500 veteran suicides are logged every year, more than the total number of soldiers killed in Iraq and Afghanistan combined since those wars began. 77% of those veterans never access the VA system. We, as citizens, have to be ready to provide assistance and get them help. In the past year, I know of several veterans who were in crisis and who sought help. And thanks to someone who cared, intervened, they're receiving great care at the VA. One friend called our superintendent at the Soldiers' Home about a Marine who needed VA care. He had served 2 tours in Iraq and had seen serious combat. He was back in the community experiencing nightmares with the only treatment being alcohol and drugs. We got him care. He's doing better. So if you know of any veteran, any era, who is struggling with issues related to their service, get him or her help. Convince them to get help. If you don't know where to send them, Steve, Tommy Pease, the VFW, the American Legion, the representative, the mayor's office, send them to us. Let me close with a quote. There is a destiny that makes us brothers. None goes his way alone. What we put into the lives of others comes back into our own. Friends, what an incredible honor it is to be here with you this morning. Every day, thanks to our veterans, is a bonus. God bless the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. God bless the city of Northampton. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Wonderful. At this time, I'd like to introduce Steve Connor, who is Veteran Service Officer, for a brief remark.
Thank you, everybody. I'm glad I made it back here in time. Not a lot of traffic on the bridge, thank goodness. All I want to say is, John just did a wonderful job of explaining what a veteran is, what they go through. It is got to be kept in perspective, out of the movies, out of television, and out of 24-hour news. Many veterans come home, and they do just fine. I have many who work in my office who have done great things, but there's always some that don't. As John stated, and I'll state it in another way, 22 veterans commit suicide every day of our lives. That's got to end. So when you think about thanking a veteran for their service, take it one step more. Thank them for their service and ask them, meet them, know them. They're just you and I who have done something that we don't know. Ask them what it was like. What was the food like? Did you go into a town and eat? Can you compare the weather climate to anything that I can understand? Just engage them. They'll tell you what they want to tell you, and they won't tell you what feels safe to them. I fortunately last spring, reached out to a veteran who worked in my office. He was always a kind of a quiet kid. I actually had him be a speaker for an event, not here. And he talked about, I think, 90 seconds and went back down, and I went, I was hoping to get a little bit more out of him, but that's okay. His senior year of school, he withdrew with a month left to graduate from a high-end college right here in the Valley. And I said, why now? He said, well, I can't study, I can't think, I can't sleep. I put in a claim for PTSD, and the VA denied me. I won't read what he sent to me because it was pretty harsh stuff, but he felt betrayed. He felt betrayed by his community and about the VA. Well, we quickly worked to get reconsideration done. The veteran got 100% service connected, and now he is in an environment much more comfortable for him, isolated mountains of Colorado, because that's what he was used to in Afghanistan. And hopefully he's going to heal, and he's going to come back, and hopefully we're going to engage him. We're not just going to thank him with a handshake and a yellow ribbon, but we're going to engage him and say, thank you for what you did. Sorry for your wounds. We're here for you. So on this Veterans Day, please reach out to anybody that you know is a veteran and just start a dialogue. It's all right. They don't bite. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, Steve. Could we have a musical selection from the Northampton High School Band? Thank you very much. Great job. We will now have a gun salute from the 10th Mass Volunteer Infantry, Major Alan Goditis, and with the 9th Mass Battery. This will be followed by taps by Andy Phillips from the 9th Mass Battery. We will now have the benediction by Dick Bart, who's the chaplain for the Veterans Council of Northampton. Dick?
God in heaven, as we invoke your benediction on this gathering, let us pray that you can lift the hearts of those to whom this holiday is not just a patriotic ceremony, but painful memory and continued deprivation. Bless those whose dear ones have died in the ultimate service to their country and their belief in freedom. Help us to support them in every way possible. May they find solace in the priceless contribution that their loved one made for the American way of life. Help us to grasp the priceless contribution of all veterans and inspire us to share this feeling with those who did not attend this ceremony. God bless America, all its military, and all its veterans. Amen.
Thank you, Dick. The commander of VFW Post 8006, Tom Pease, has reminded me to invite all of you people to a spaghetti dinner, veterans and all their families, and that starts at 6 o'clock at the VFW in Florence. Thank you for that invite, Tom. This concludes our Veterans Day ceremonies. Thank you all. Hope to see you next year. Thank you.